Test, test, test. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? Let me know how we sounding. Let me know how we sounding. What's going on, y'all? Me and the members are currently in this NAS setup. If y'all was in the live yesterday, gold ended up going as projected. We was going to look for continued buys going into this morning. Well, we're still going to be looking for buys, but price failed to hold that level at support, as we can see. But it ended up doing the move we was talking about yesterday. So shout out to those that caught that setup. Again, you had multiple opportunities to catch that setup and get retracements multiple times. And then me and the members caught this NAS100 setup. We was literally in drawdown for most of the day, or blinking in and out of TP1, TP2. But again, this is why you follow the flow of price, because once that volume picked up, the rest is history. So now we're floating in profit. So we're going to be looking for continued NAS100 buys. So we was able to catch the higher high on NAS100 yesterday, as well as the higher high on gold yesterday. And we broke this down if you was in the TikTok live yesterday, but if not, it is all good. We'll have another breakdown of this later on. So make sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Y'all see it scrolling at the bottom of y'all screens. Instagram, playmaker_wait, TikTok _playmaker_. So we're going to be looking for some setups, but I've been having an interesting conversation under one of my YouTube shorts. It's the one I dropped yesterday. I dropped 3 shorts yesterday. All right. And it's this one right here. Which one is it? Let me find it. And I knew some people wasn't going to agree with this, but this is why, we have to have these conversations, especially when it comes to trading. Again, y'all make sure to like the live as you hop up in here, subscribe if you're not subscribed already. But yeah, if you haven't watched that short yet, make sure to watch that short. I also posted it on Instagram, but make sure to watch that short if you haven't already. So I have an interesting conversation with one of the people in the comments section. And trading, this is what's not talked about, right? As what we talk about during the TikTok lives, everybody wants to blame everybody but themselves when it comes to trading, right? People talk about bears and bulls, stop loss hunting, fake outs, liquidity sweeps, this, that, and the third, right? So again, yes, there is manipulation in the markets, but there has to be manipulation in the markets because, again, these are real currencies, these are real values, these are real stocks, these are real assets. So again, if there was no stability or a system, nothing would be stable, right? Again, the price just can't forever shoot up, price can't just forever shoot down, right? So in that video, I was talking about how everything that happens trading-wise is your fault, right? And let me pull my phone out so we can talk about it. And again, y'all, if you guys got any questions, drop them in the chat. When you're looking at the charts, drop them in the chat. We do have a few setups we're looking at right now. We're currently in this NAS100 setup with the members and students, and we're looking at possible gold setups as well as possible GJ setups in the meantime. Again, there is no news today. We got news tomorrow and Friday. So again, we're just simply waiting for volume and our confirmations to be met. Again, it's been a little bit of a choppier week. But like I always talk about, like I talked about in the Sunday chart analysis, the first and last week of the month are typically the toughest to trade, and we're on the last week of the month. And of course, we haven't had any news to help push volume to the markets on top of the positions in the market structure we're in. There's a lot of variables and reasons why price is doing what it's doing, but this also goes into what we're talking about and what I talk about in this video, right? So like I tell the members all the time, there's only 3 things we control when it comes to the markets. We control when we enter a trade, we control when we exit a trade, and we control how much we risk per trade, right? We don't control when price does what it's going to do. We don't control what trend we're in. We don't control news events. We don't control bank holidays. We don't control none of that stuff, right? Which is why it's important to make sure that you're taking full control of everything you do have control over. Again, this is what I always talk about, just like in yesterday's live stream. If y'all didn't watch yesterday's live stream, yesterday was a perfect example of why you want to stick to your rules, only go for high probability, high quality setups, and wait for that retest confirmation, because we was looking at GU cells yesterday. But as you saw, and if you was in a live stream, price failed to hold this low as resistance, which is why we didn't take that GU cell. And imagine if we would have jumped into that trade because of FOMO or whatever the case may be, instead of sticking to our game plan, we would have took an unnecessary loss, right? That's kind of chilling right here. We're about to see if we can break this level here. We're floating in profit on NAS100 right now. So if NAS can break above and hold 23,590 as support, we're going to be looking for continued buys going to 23,660. And he was just commenting under my post, so hopefully he's in this live stream so we can have a conversation about it. But you know how that goes. Usually they don't be going into the lives, they just be talking in the comments. But anyways, so in that video, like I was just saying, everything that happens on your trading account with your capital, it is your fault, right? The markets do not enter buys or sells for you, unless of course you put a buy or sell limit. But again, if you put a buy or sell limit, that's still your choice, that's still your action, that's still your fault. How much you risk per trade, that is your decision, that is your choice, that is your fault. If you win a trade, guess what? That is also your fault, because that was your decision, right? At the same time, if you lose a trade, it is also your fault. You cannot blame the markets for a loss happening, just like I don't hear people blaming the markets for wins, right? Everybody takes credit for the wins they take when it comes to trading, but every time there's a loss or something happens that you didn't expect or didn't want to happen, somehow it's the market's fault. It's the lion, tigers, and bears, this, that, and the third. And what I'm trying to teach is, again, if you ignore all that BS and you just focus on what you know, which is why I be preaching all the time with the TikTok lives and all the time with the members and students from the back end, to understand how to read the charts. And trading isn't about winning every trade. Trading is about calculated risk. It's about going for high probability, high quality setups. Nothing's 100%. Again, we went 3-1 last week, right? Again, if you look at all our trades, not every single trade hits every TP, right? And not every trade hits a TP, right? That's just the reality of trading, which is why, again, you want to go with what? High probability, high quality setups, which is why, again, when y'all see me in the live streams, do I just jump into trades and get excited? No. I wait for what? My rules to be met. I strictly only go for high probability, high quality setups. And again, I always make sure my wins are bigger than my losses, and my losses are small and stuck to a minimum, right? These are things I can control. So again, if I come up with a system where I'm going to be winning more than I lose, my wins are always going to be bigger than my losses no matter what, I'm making sure I'm risking the same amount every single trade, and when I'm in profit, I don't let a winner turn to a loser, how can I not succeed, right? The failure in trading comes from, again, not taking control of the reality, right? Because again, everybody wants to blame the markets for everything, but it's not the markets, right? The markets, whether you decided to day trade or not, whether you decide to take that trade or not, was going to do what it was going to do, right? Because you entered a trade or not enter a trade does not change what the markets were going to play out and do for the day, right? It's not going to change what the markets are going to play out and do for the week, right? The markets are already going to be doing what they were set out to do, right? So, and when you think of it that way, again, you can't blame the markets for why you took a win or loss, because again, There's a reason why these levels are so accurate. There's a reason why I'm able to project what price is going to do on a daily basis, a weekly basis, right? It's not because, again, is due actually is due to the same manipulation, all the stuff people be talking about. It's not because luck. It's not because I got Trump on speed dial or I got a crystal ball. It's because, again, I learned how the charts work. Right, I tell the story all the time. I went from working 2 jobs, 6 days out the week. Right, when I was doing my taxes, I realized I blew over 30K doing dumb shit. Right, and then again, when I passed my first challenge, I was literally a few days away from a payout. Long story short, I did some dumb shit and blew the account before my payout. Yep, I did it, right? But that wasn't the market's fault, right? That wasn't the prop firm challenge scamming me out of money, right? That was me making dumbass mistakes, right? So me taking accountability for that and realizing, again, because that same day, I do what a lot of y'all probably do, right? You go on Instagram, you go on TikTok, you scroll, right? Or you look at people you follow, right? And what do you see? You see people posting trade results, right? So literally, I used to see this happen all the time before I was profitable. Days I lose trades, I'd go look on people's stories or posts and they're winning trades. So if I lost a trade today, but somebody else, hundreds of thousands of people around the world are winning trades, and we're trading the same markets, is it the market's fault that I lost, but also the market's fault that they won? No, it's my fault that I lost, just like it's their fault that they won, right? And I even seen days where I would, for example, I've always traded gold, right? I remember back in the day, one day I took a gold buy and I took a loss. An hour, 2 hours later, I go on Instagram. I look on somebody's story. They took a gold buy and they took a win. So again, is it the market's fault that they won and I lost that trade? No, right? I realize that, again, there's a bunch of people having success day trading, and there's people winning or taking the same set as I took, but they had success and I didn't. That means I'm doing something wrong. There's something I need to understand and figure out. And thankfully, because I did that, that's where we're at right now. That's why we're at right now, right? So again, what we're talking about is I dropped a short on Instagram yesterday, and I said everything. I said it's the harsh reality of trading. And in that video, to keep a long story short, I said everything that happens in trading is your fault. Right? One person, shout out to you, they agreed with me, and they were like, "Let me go to the comment. They're like, you can't be putting the blame on others." I was like, exactly. But then somebody else, I hope you're in here because you was literally just responding to my comment. But anyways, but then somebody else was like, the market traps often. It baits us in many ways and then switches. Small accounts especially take the damage, and rules like BDT. Actually, I'm just going to put a screenshot so y'all can see what I'm talking about as well. So we're going to put this on the screen so we can talk about it, because this is a good discussion. And again, I don't know this person personally. This is not an attack or a jab. I'm just literally responding to the logic in the comments and explaining the flaws in the logic, right? That's all I'm doing, right? Again, I don't know this person. Shout out to you, because this is a good discussion. There's a bunch of people like you that have the same mindset, and hopefully this will help somebody out, right? So that's what we're talking about. It's why I make these posts, because this is the stuff that people don't want to talk about, right? Again, if y'all didn't see on Instagram and TikTok on Saturday, right? Again, if y'all was in Friday's live stream, we caught that US30 buy setup. We predicted that happening before the news played out. We even entered buys during London session before the news played out. But then there was people talking about, oh, there's no way you could have got that. That was a gamble. That was lucky. But it's not lucky, right? Because again, if you was in the live stream, I logically explained it, and we was looking for that same exact setup the entire week, right? So again, if you actually take control of your trading account, take control of your mindset, break these bad habits, replace them with good habits, you'll be surprised how much your trading improves, how much your account grows. So we got NAS rejecting. up. I just got wicked out of NAS again. So it was a nice almost 1-2. The trade's still valid, but again, like I'm just talking about, I don't let winners turn to losers. So I'm out this trade now. But we hit like TP. What did we hit? We hit like TP4, TP5 last night. Let me pull it up. We hit a couple more TPs, I think, after I posted it. No, we didn't. We just hit TP4. We almost hit TP5. Yeah, so we caught a nice move on NAS100 again. We was in drawdown literally for a minute, and then we was blinking in and out. But again, this is why I don't like to put my stop loss where people can see price touch. You want to put it where, again, the price is to break past that level. You was most likely wrong. It was going to go the opposite direction, right? Which is why I put my stop loss right here, right? Because if I would have did it like a lot of people do and put it at the lows, again, you know the lows are going to get tapped. Why are you going to put your stop loss where price will most likely retrace at? You want to put it farther away. I'm giving y'all some more free game right here. Shout out to those that's watching. Shout out to those that's paying attention, right? Because imagine I would have put my stop loss right here. Right, because this is what I see online all the time, right? And this is why people be like, "Oh, I keep getting wicked out," or this is why people talk about, "Oh, they be stop loss hunting." It's like, no. Again, take accountability. If I'm going to put my stop loss on a clear area where price is treated as a support resistance level, and if I'm taking a trade and price retraces the opposite direction, where do you think it's going to hit? Right? That's why you don't want to put it exactly there. You want to give it a little bit of space, but that's a whole nother conversation. It's a whole nother conversation, right? So here's the comment right here. Right, so he was like, the market's trapped often. And again, y'all, you guys got any questions, drop in the chat. When we're looking at charts, drop in the chat. We are multitasking right now. Again, we're looking at possible gold and NAS100 setups. The members are probably still in this. I got worked out of this though. But again, we see what's going on. We see the sell and buy ideas. Y'all know the drill. We got our alerts. We're not missing anything. GJ's still in no man's land. Again, we don't got any news today. So we're just simply waiting for volume and our confirmations to be met. So it's probably gonna be just like yesterday and Monday, right? Where the volume doesn't kick into New York session. But that's okay. That's okay. Because again, patience pays. As long as you stick to the game plan, we're gonna be straight. Yeah, so we're just gonna keep it on NAS100 right here. So he was like, the market's trapped often. Basics in many ways, then switches. Small accounts especially take damage, and rules like PDT help trap traders behind losses and cycles into terrible FOMO and revenge trading. And then you see my response. I said that's the excuse. That's a bunch of excuses. Let's walk it down. The market traps often. Okay. If you keep on getting trapped by the market, you have two options. A, keep doing the same shit you're doing and continuously fall for the same traps. Or B, review your trades, figure out why you keep falling for these traps or the signs of a possible trap, and revise your trading plan. That's literally your only two options. So A, you keep doing the same shit and complain about it, or B, you take notes, review your trades, figure out why this keeps happening or how to avoid it, and you don't have to worry about that. Which is, again, what's a good trap? All these people putting stop losses where they can obviously see price retrace to. What's another good way price traps you, quote unquote, right? When price breaks a level, but you don't wait for the retest, right? So again, I used to go for breakout trades, right? Because everybody and mama used to post on the internet about breakout trades, right? But again, I would review my trades and I realized if a lot more of the trades that I waited or a lot more of the trades I entered off of a retest versus a breakout, I had a lot more success with versus the trades that I did not wait for a retest and just went off a breakout. I also noticed that a lot of times, again, this is why I say it's important where the candlestick goes, but not important where it closes, that if I just wait for the candlestick to close, I'll realize if price is actually going to stay green or stay red or vice versa, right? So again, yes, there are things that can trick you in the markets, but again, figure that out, right? Here's a perfect example, right? When I was younger, When I was younger, I'm talking about child, early 2000s. I used to, you know how there's like there's like Disney Junior, then there's Nick Junior, right? So there's a show called Dora the Explorer, right? And when I was a child, I never understood the whole swiper bit. I'm like, okay, y'all hear the music, right? So you know the motherfucker's coming. Y'all see the nose and the tail sticking out the costume, but you still fall for the trick, right? And then there's still swiper, right? I'm like, bro, like you're still not immune to the whole swiper not swiping shit. So the reason why I say that is they do the same shit every episode and the same results happen, right? But with swiper, for some reason, again, I mean, no does mean no. The swiper at least tried to do different things, right? He tried to put different costumes on. He tried to switch it up, right? Trial and error. It's the same thing with trading. So again, do not just complain about the market doing something. Figure out why that took place, because again, the markets are not just randomly doing things. There's always a reason why price is doing something, right? Everything can be explained. Everything is a reason. The price is not coincidentally doing stuff. It's not a coincidence that gold reacted off the same level over and over and over and over again, right? It's not a coincidence. The NAS100 did the same move Monday that it did yesterday, last night, right? So again, is there traps? Is there tricks? Is there reversals? Right? Yes, there's this stuff in the markets, but again, if you're aware of the stuff being in the markets, either A, keep falling for it, or B, change your game plan. Right? Again, it's still your fault. Right? Everything is still your fault. Right? And the reason why I'm going so hard on this is because this is something that I had to accept with trading as well, right? That's why again I'm so strict with my setups, and why I to this day only go for high quality setups, because again I already been there, done that. I reviewed my trades. I realized, okay, going for these setups does not work. I realized, okay, when I see this, it's best to wait, right? So that's why again, no matter what price does, right? The old me 2-3 years ago would have been like, dang, I just missed out on a juicy drop right here. I need to jump into a sell. But the current me, I don't care about none of this shit, right? Because I know my game plan. I'm not going to look for a sell at all until it can break below and hold 34.40 as resistance. We're looking at GBPUSD, and if GBPUSD can hold 34.40 as resistance, we're going to be looking for sales going to 34.20. So again, I'm not going to do anything with GBPUSD, specifically sell wise, until price does that, right? Why? Because I know if price can hold as low as resistance and I enter a trade here, I'm gonna have a higher likelihood of having success, versus if I try to go for a setup here, I'm not gonna have a high likelihood of seeing success. And also there's not a likelihood of price continuing to go in my direction in my favor, right? So again, I made these decisions and these rules based off previous trades and reviewing the mistakes I made, and also uh, whatever the opposite of mistakes is. I'm tired, y'all. Again, y'all, if you guys got any questions, drop in the chat. When you look at the charts, drop in the chat. So again, that's just an excuse. It's still your fault, right? Everything's your fault. I promise you, once you start thinking of everything as your fault, I took that W. Damn, I did a good job. Let's review why I just had success with this trade, right? I just took a loss. Damn. Okay, well, let's see what happened. That's the one. Did you stick to your trading plan, right? If you stick to your trading plan, okay, good. You still did something right, right? So now I just need to review the trade to see what happened. Did I break any of my rules? No, I didn't. Okay, so why did I hit my stop loss? And then from there, you can revise to see, okay, was it just not ready to do that move yet? Like with gold yesterday? Well, again, that's what I did with Monday, right? Monday, some of my buys. We had the retest. I struggled to break the highs to the left. So I got wicked out. So again, I reviewed my gold setup. I said, okay. I followed my rules. I went for buys. I went with the flow price. I waited for the retest. Boom. right? It was a little bit of profit, hit a couple TPs, but it didn't go the full way. Let's see why that was the case. Well, market open, Tokyo session popped up, shot up to the upside. So I was like, okay, cool. Guess what? We're still looking for buys because we're right back in the buy area in the buy territory, right? I didn't FOMO here. Again, the old me would have FOMOed here and went for a buy here, right? And if I would have went for a buy here, I would have took unnecessary loss, right? And what would people have called this? Oh, a fake out liquidity sweep. No, because again, I know due to reviewing my trades and studying the charts that again, just because price breaks or touches a level doesn't mean it's going to hold a level, which is why with these live streams, you always see me wait for price to close and hold before we take a buy or sell setup, right? So again, instead of seeing this as the market's out to get me, the market's tricked me, fake out liquidity sweep, all this other shit, I understand this is how the markets work, whether you like, love, or hate it. This is how the markets work. So again, once you identify this, you either A, keep on doing the same shit you're doing to complain, or B, figure out a solution to the issue to avoid all the bullshit people talk about, right? So again, that's why you never hear me talk about fake out liquidity sweeps or the bears and bulls helping or going against me, because again, I have taken control of my trading. I understand how the markets work. Whether you like, love, or hate it, I have accepted it, which is why I have the playbook and the game plan to trade successfully in these markets, right? So again, that's why you don't hear me talk about none of that other shit, because none of that shit's relevant to me, because I understand how the shit works and I figured out a way to use it to my advantage and to stay out of it from fucking me up for the most part, right? So again, I'm trading the same market as everybody else is trading, right? When we take wins, people are taking losses. When we take losses, people are taking wins. When we're taking wins, people are taking wins. When we take losses, people are taking losses, right? We're all trading the same markets. But the difference between the wins and losses are, again, trading psychology, which we're talking about right now, and also the decisions we make, right? Because again, we are the ones that have access to our accounts. We're the ones entering buy or sell. So we cannot blame the markets for everything, right? We can't. We just really can't. If you do that, you're going to not help yourself, right? Which is why we're talking about it. Again, y'all, you guys got any questions, drop them in the chat. When we look at any charts, drop them in the chat. But let's keep on. And again, y'all, this is not me picking on the person. I do not know who this person even is. I'm just responding to a comment left under my post, and I'm just attacking the logic behind the comment. All right. I do not know the person personally. None of that stuff. So again, the traps. All right. Now we figured out how to avoid the traps. It says it baits us in many ways and then switches. Again, who's falling for the bait? If you know it does things to bait you, then you need to come up with a trading plan to, one, identify those signs that price is trying to bait you, and again, have a trading plan where you avoid baits. Again, this is why I only go for high probability, high quality setups. This is why I only go with the flow of price, because when you go with the flow of price, you automatically give yourself a higher likelihood of the trade going in your favor, and you also have a higher likelihood of avoiding all of these baits and shit, because when the volume kicks in, it's going to most likely go in the direction you're looking for, right? This is also why I wait for retest confirmations, because I know, again, if price not only breaks but holds the level I'm looking for a buy or sell at, again, I have a higher likelihood of that trade going in my favor. So we got GU pushing down. Let's see if we can hold that level as resistance. Again, with GU, we're looking at possible sells. If we can hold 34.40 as resistance, we're looking for sells going down to 34.20. Looking at the other charts, but as you can see, the other charts are just chilling in place, and we're not missing anything. So we're just going to keep this on GU. All right, so again, it's just an excuse. Again, it's still your fault. You're the one that, again, nobody's telling you to buy or sell but you. So you cannot blame the markets for the decisions you make. Right? Again, learn how the markets work. Learn these quote unquote tricks and the manipulation, right? And then once you understand how these tricks and quote unquote manipulation works, use it to your advantage, right? That's exactly what we do. That's why, again, we do an analysis before we take any setup to do what? Identify which one of the 3 cycles we're in. Because, again, based on which one of those 3 cycles we're in, that's going to tell us how these quote unquote tricks and manipulations going to play out. It's also going to tell us what the most likely go for. Again, there's a reason why we do all this stuff, right? It's to avoid all the shit people complain about, right? That's why it'd be funny when people come to the TikTok lives and I'll be teaching shit and they be cracking jokes and stuff. I'm like, y'all be cracking jokes, but this is the stuff that you have to understand. This is the reason why a lot of people be confused as hell on the charts. Right? I'm telling you, if you just stop thinking of being a victim and you just learn how the charts work, forget everything else. Just like, okay, how do the charts work? Forget everything else. Just okay. Let me look at how the charts are moving. Let me see how the charts move in the past. Let me see how price is about to react right here. And again, when I did this is how I started to figure out, wait, I've seen this before. Wait, price treated this level just like this the other day. Right? And then when you scroll and it's like, wait, prices react to the same level the same way a whole week ago, a whole month ago, this, that, and the third, right? So when you start to backtest and just look at the charts as it is, that's when you start to realize how the price works. And again, once you realize how a price works, that's how you avoid all these quote unquote baits, the FOMO, all this other stuff. Again, all this other stuff is in your head, right? It's literally a mental battle. I say it all the time when people be talking about it takes 2-3 years to become profitable. They're not talking about it takes 2 to 3 years to learn a strategy and all that other stuff. The main reason why it takes people a long time to become profitable is the mental aspect, right? You have to get your mental right. You have to get your mental right. You have to have mental strength. You have to have mental strength and discipline to wait for your setups, right? You have to have that mental strength and discipline to not FOMO, right? And sometimes, unfortunately, and it was for me as well, sometimes it just takes us to lose a bunch of money to finally snap out of it, right? But that's why I make all these videos and these lives to help y'all avoid losing as much or avoid losing any if possible, right? Because they do be like that. Sometimes, you just got to learn the hard way. But again, everything that happens when you're trading is your fault. And when you switch to that mindset, you're going to become a lot more accountable. And again, when you're a lot more aware and accountable, you're going to be a lot stricter on yourself. All right. Again, the old me, I would have did all types of dumb shit back in the day. And there's a reason why I'm raised so high is because we were patient. We only go for high quality setups. All right. The markets are just chilling right now. It's probably gonna be like yesterday. Yesterday, the markets didn't really wake up to New York session, just like Monday. But that's fine. That is fine. Again, y'all, if you guys got any questions, drop in the chat. When looking at charts, drop in the chat. Make sure to like that live and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Got a new video dropping for y'all later on today. Dropped the video for y'all on Monday. Make sure to check that out if you have not checked that out already. I got looked out of my NAS100 position. It's still valid. Some members of students might be still holding it, but it did a nice rejection. So I just took what the markets gave me. I'm about to look for another setup right now. Right here. Let's keep on going. Right, so boom. We already debunked that. That's just another excuse. We already debunked that. Just another excuse. Then it says small accounts especially take damage. How do small accounts especially take damage? Okay, again, why do small accounts take damage? We talk about this all the time. Small accounts versus big accounts, right? Let me pull out the calculator. Let me just pull out the handy dandy calculator, right? Because I'm a visual learner. I'm a hands-on learner as well. So let's just pull out the handy dandy calculator, right? So let's say there's 3 accounts. Let's say there's $100 account. Let's say there's $1,000 account and a $10,000 account, right? And let's say all 3 of them made 10%. Who made more money? If the $100 account, the $1,000 account, the $10,000 account all made 10%, who made more money? It's a trick question. They all made the same amount. Now, obviously, dollar wise, you'd make a lot more money on the $10,000 account than the $1,000 account. Just like with the $1,000 account, 10% is more money than 10% on a $100 account. But at the end of the day, it's still 10%, right? So, with that same reasoning, $100 is still less than $1,000, right? Which means number wise, you would have to risk less, right? So, how if I'm risking 1% on a $100 account and risking $1,000 on not risking 1,000, risking 1% on a $1,000 account, or if I'm risking 1% on a $10,000 account, how is my smaller account, which would be the $100 account, at more risk? Again, another trick question. It's not. It just seems that way because we have a habit, because I used to do it too. Again, I'm never going to act like I just popped out the womb a profitable trader. I made many mistakes, which is why I'm so strict now, right? But many of us make this mistake thinking that on a $100 account, a $500 account, that $5 win, that $20 win isn't a big win, because you go on Instagram or TikTok and you see people making 1K, 5K, 10K, 20K. But you have to realize that 1K, 5K, 10K, 20K seems like a lot to you, but it's not a lot to the person who made that compared to their account size, right? You also have to realize if you have a $100 account, a $500 account, that $5, $20 win, $10 win is actually a good amount. Because again, what's 5% of $100? That's $5. So if you got a $100 account, you made $5. You might not think that's a lot, but you just made 5%. But again, on a $1,000 account, that 5% is going to be $50, right? It's still 5%, but because you have more capital, you make more. That's the same reason why people think prop firms are sweet, or people talk shit about prop firms, is because, again, the prop firms are tempting because you will be able to make a lot more money. Obviously, you're not trading that exact amount of capital, but at the end of the day, you're spending like $300 for a 50K account or less for a 50K account, and you're going to be making consistently, a couple hundred to $1,000 per trade. That's still a big return on investment, right? But I'm saying all this to say that if you calculate your lot size and you have proper risk management, it doesn't matter what account size you have, you're still going to be able to grow your account effectively. But if you think of it strictly in whole numbers, that's how you fuck yourself up, because you don't realize that you're actually making a good amount for your account size, because you're chasing $100, $500 days, but you got a $1,000 account. You see what I'm saying? So again, just another excuse. Everything's your fault. So again, because if that's the case, that means everybody that's unprofitable is unprofitable because they just don't have enough money to trade within their account, right? So if that's the case, if I give everybody a $100,000 funded account, they should be set for the rest of their life. No, there's still gonna be people that are gonna blow that shit, right? Because again, it's not the capital that's the reason. It's not the markets that's the reason that you're not successful trading. It is you. Just like with me, It wasn't the markets why I blew my funded accounts over and over again. It wasn't the markets why I blew my live account over and over again. It was me and my decisions, right? And again, once you realize that and you take control, that's when the profits are going to start rolling, because then you'll start being more aware of the setups you're looking for and taking or not taking, right? Because you know, okay, if I take this setup, I'm going to either win or lose. And obviously we want to win more than we lose, which is why, again, you want to review your trades and figure out which ones are the best setups to take to win more than you lose, right? That's why our win rate is so high, because again, I used to do that. I didn't go for anything and everything, but I used to go for a lot more trades than I would now, right? A lot more setups I used to take back in the day than I do now. But again, after I took a bunch of trades with the strategy, first thing I was only concerned about was, did my strategy work? So my strategy worked, so then I started to use it. But as I started to use it with real capital and started making more money, that's when I started to start paying attention to the setups I'm taking, right? And then now that I have more data information, because I took a bunch of trades, I don't remember how many trades I took, taking a bunch of hundreds of trades, right? But after I took a bunch of trades, then I started to review the trades I was taking to be like, okay, why was this a winner? Why was this a loser? What could I do improve on? What can I not improve on? And that's when I started to narrow down, okay, when I take these setups, I don't see as much success versus when I take only these setups. So again, logically thinking, if I have more success taking setup B than I do setup A, what am I going to do? I'm either going to continue to take those setups, or I'm only going to take the setup that gives me the best results, right? Again, but at the end of the day, the decision to take those same two setups or just switch to only taking strictly one setup is still your fault. It's not the market, that's your fault, right? So again, you got to take accountability and a hold of your account, right? Once you understand the markets aren't randomly doing things, the markets are not out to get you, and you start to go, okay, let me figure out how the markets actually work. That's when you're going to start to see more success. Instead of saying, what do you even say? He's talking about small accounts, whatever. I don't fucking know. Anyways, let's just keep on going, right? And I don't even know what the fuck PDT was. I had to look that shit up. Honestly, in my opinion, I truly believe that PDT shit is only for like if you're option trading, because literally if that was the case, you wouldn't be able to deposit $100 and trade, right? Because that's just the thing where it's like you need $25,000, or if you don't make $25,000 and 40, some shit like that. I was like, if that's the case, all these brokers will stop you from trading 5 days out the week and taking more than 2 trades out the day, right? So I don't even think that's even what we do over here. I think that's like option shit, right? But again, another excuse, because I got nothing to do with the fuck we do over here in Forex. Because again, if that was the case, I would then have everybody would not be able to trade the mini trade. But anyways, he said it helped trap traders behind losses and slices into terrible FOMO and revenge trading. How the fuck does PDT, when that tells you that you can only take a certain amount of trades a week, force you into FOMO and revenge trading? How the fuck are you going to revenge trade when you're limited to a certain amount of trade? Again, just another excuse, right? So I say you're making excuses. Every action you take is on you. You cannot blame the markets for it. Let me pull up my phone so I can read what I said to his response. Let me pull this up. Let me pull this out because I don't even remember what I said. Let me pull it up really quick. Let me go back to what Google told me about PDT. Yeah, it says in stock trading, right? So it says a stock trading PDT stands for pattern day trader rule, regulation that requires traders to execute 4 or more day trades, buying and selling within 5 business days to maintain a minimum amount of equity of 25,000. Again, Forex and futures, you don't have to deal with that shit. So again, that's another excuse and another decision you're making to stock trade. You don't have to trade fucking stocks. That's the main reason why I didn't option stock trade when I first started, because one, I was like, oh, those contracts, they're only 10 cents. That ain't shit. I can do that. But then you start to read the fine lining, and it's like, oh no, you can't just buy one contract. You got to buy like, I think it changed, but back then it was like, no, you got to buy like 50 or 100, or like depending on the contract you buy, it tells you how many contracts or whatever the fuck you take. And I was like, bro, I do not got 10 bands right now. Again, which is why instead of complaining about it, I found a solution, which was okay. Forex, shit, you only need $100. Okay, I can do that, right? So again, that's another excuse. You don't got to stock trade, right? So yeah, because when he said that, I was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, is this another fair value gap? But no, that's some other bullshit, right? So then my response was, every action you take is on you. You cannot blame the markets for your account being blown, right? Because again, unless you hold a trade over the weekend and then the market's open and you get gapped the fuck out of because those 2 days of market close, right? Volume coming in. That's the only time where you can be like, damn, the market's fucked me up. But even then, you should only make that mistake once, because now you know you need to add that to your rules and your notes. Okay, don't hold trades over the weekend unless you're okay and willing to accept the consequence of potentially getting your stop loss gap. And instead of it being initially a 50 pip stop loss, it just closed you out at 100 pips, right? So again, it's still your decision for your account to get blown, because you're the one that keeps on taking those setups, right? Again, it's not the markets that blow your account, it is you that blow your account, right? If I lose a trade, my account shouldn't be blown. But if I lose a trade and my account's blown, that's either because A, I just lost. Again, let's pull the calculator out. Let's pull the calculator out. I still got it up. Now I gotta pull it back out. Let's pull the calculator out. And again, you guys got any questions, drop in the chat. When looking at your charts, drop in the chat. I know I'm talking, but I can still ask questions. When we look at your charts, I still got you. Again, we're multitasking. Again, this is why we don't break out trade, because if we would have went for that sell, we would have took another loss. So again, these traps, quote unquote, I made a trading plan to avoid these traps and this quote unquote manipulation and these quote unquote fake outs, right? So instead of keep on falling for it, I'm like, damn, it did. The market's got me again. I now avoid those more times than not, because again, nothing's 100%, by waiting for retest confirmations. You get what I'm saying? Well, let's pull the calculator out, right? Let's pull the hand dandy calculator out. I love this thing, man. So if I'm risking 5% of my account per trade, I'd have to lose 20 trades in a row to 20 trades in a row to blow my account. So again, if I lose 20 trades in a row, that is not the market's fault. That is my fault, right? Especially if I said 20 trades in a row. So if I lose 20 trades in a row, that's my fault, not the market's fault. If you risk 2% of your account per trade, you would have to lose 50 trades in a row to blow your account. So if I lose 50 trades in a row and I don't even get a single win to break the lose streak, that is not the market's fault. That's my fault, right? And if you risk 1% of your account per trade, you would literally have to lose 100 trades in a row to blow your account. And every time I do this math, I always think back to my old self. I'm like, damn, you really did lose 50 trades in a row, didn't you? You used to really lose 50 trades in a row on some dumb shit, right? Or I was over leveraging, probably both, right? So again, when we pull the calculator out, it's like, damn, if I went into the markets 100 times and lost 100 times, I can't blame the markets for that shit. If I went into the markets, I lost 20 times in a row, I can't blame the markets for that shit. Again, this is why it's important to, again, understand what you're doing and take control of the charts, right? Again, let's talk about last week. Let's pull up US30. Right, let's talk about US30 last week. Right? This buy setup that didn't play out till Friday, we was looking for that setup all week, right? It played out on Tuesday last week, but besides Tuesday, it didn't play out. So let's go to Monday. Monday, Again, my rules are to wait for retest confirmations. So if I would have just went for a buy here because price touched that level, I can't blame the markets for that. That was my decision, right? So then we go here. Again, this is why I like to wait for price to retest confirmation, because if I went for a buy here and took a loss, I can't blame the markets for that, right? But let's say I didn't have the rule for retest confirmation. Let's say I'm going for a buy here. I take a loss. Okay, cool. Price pushes back up. I go for a buy. I take a loss. Okay, cool. Now you see price constantly rejecting this level and constantly consolidating. You decide, especially if you don't got proper risk management, to then crash out and take 3, 4, 5, 6 more trades on this day. That is not the market's fault, because again, the markets already showed you that they're choppy, but you decided to keep on going for buys here because, again, what did he say? Because of revenge trading. Again, the markets do not make you want to take revenge out on them. I mean, they kind of do, but you get what I'm saying. The markets don't make you go buy or sell, right? So again, this is why I pull the calculator out, right? This is why it's important to, again, have self-control. A trading plan is discipline. Because let's say I was looking for this buy on Monday, and let's say I went for the buy on Monday, and I took a loss or 2 losses. Again, the trading plan should not let you take more than 2 losses, 3 max a day, right? That's just me personally, right? So then I'm like, damn, okay, US30 just didn't want to do what I need to do right then. Price, again, this is why you don't just say, damn, it's a loss to win. You review the trade. Okay, damn, I just took 2 losses. Let's see what the fuck's going on. Okay, price is showing me that it is not holding this low as support. And we know for price to go up, it needs to hold the low as support, right? Okay, that explains why I keep on getting my stop loss whipped out and why price keeps on rejecting this low over and over again. I'm gonna call it a day. And then look what happens going into Tuesday. That same buy setup that you crashed out on and blew your account on in one day, if you would have stayed cool, calm, and collected and came back the next day, not only would you have made your money back from that 1 or 2 losses, but again, this is how the markets work, right? When we go to Wednesday, same thing, right? Rejected that level, right? So again, you can't blame the markets for that shit. Again, that's just what the markets are going to do. The markets are either going to have volume pushing to the upside, volume pushing to the downside, or we're going to have choppiness take place, right? That's just part of the game. That's just part of the game. So we're going to be looking for continued gold buys. If y'all was in the live stream yesterday, this gold buy played out. It was a nice 1 to 2, almost 1 to 3 on that. We're going to be looking for continued gold buys. If gold can break above and hold 33.84 as support, we're going to be looking for buys going to 3400 with NAS100. If NAS can break above and hold 23.590 as support, we're going to be looking for buys going to 23.660. GJ is still in no man's land, still holding this level as support, but it's still back in Chop City. It's literally doing the same thing it did last month. And again, because I'm looking at the charts and I understand what price is doing, I'm then making the decision not to trade GJ instead of keep on trying to go for sells here or buys here and getting worked out. I'm making a decision because I understand what GJ is doing and I understand the market's work to not trade GJ, right? That's why we haven't been talking about GJ so far, because again, it's not doing anything I like. Let's see what gold's gonna push up. Got a new hour, it'll pop up. Again, y'all, there's no news today. It's been a little bit of a slower week. We've been having to wait till like New York session for setups to play out. But it's all good. Again, I understand there's no news. I understand it's the last week of the month. I understand what the market conditions are. So again, instead of FOMOing, I acknowledge and accept what's happening. And now I'm figuring out what I need to do, right? I identify the problem and I find a solution. right? That's how simple trading is, right? And that's why I always talk about when you're brand new to trading, the last thing you need to worry about is trying to trade, especially on a live account, right? If you want to practice taking setups, use a demo account, right? So all that emotional stuff that we just read in that paragraph, you don't got to worry about, because now you're simply just practicing and learning the craft, right? And then once you perfect your strategy, you understand how the markets work, then from there, you switch to a live account. But at the end of the day, everything that happens on the charts is your fault, right? So after that, he responded with more excuses. So let's dissect this. All right, let's talk about this. Because this is why I do what I do. Because again, there's one thing I don't like. I don't like bad information. And I don't like this BS. Right? So let's talk about it. So then his response to me saying that, I'm not trading US30, so let me put GU back up. Whoops, not that one. There we go. See what we do right here. Appreciate those that like the live. Make sure to subscribe as well if you're not subscribed already. We just hit 3,800 subscribers. Let's get to 3,850. Just dropped a new video for y'all the other day. Got a new video dropping for y'all later on today as well. As well as I dropped new stock updates, as well as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana updates for y'all also. So make sure to check these out, because we have had some retracements. So I broke down the retracements, the best prices of DCA in and DCA out at, as well as explaining what's happening in place. All right, cool. So I'm gonna keep it on gold. Let me see. All right, cool. Right. So then he said what I said was not true. He said, I'm victim blaming. I'm victim blaming. He said, preachers make millions saying the same about, I don't know what the fuck he said there. Markets are highly manipulated to cause liquidity. It's best not to put money into the market until you win continuously through practice. And it might take years to learn. But didn't he just say here, markets travel often, they base us in many ways, and then switches, small accounts especially take damage and rules. Again, that don't apply, because again, if you have a small account, then this doesn't apply to you, because you can even trade stocks or options, right? So it helps trap traders behind losses and cycles into terrible FOMO and revenge trading. But then he says this. So I've been posting and teaching for a long time. So this makes me believe that A, he tried day trading once and blew a couple of accounts and gave up, or B, he's never day traded at all, and he's just copying and pasting statistics Google told him, right? It's one of the two, right? But let's bring this up, right? Let's break this down, right? I said you're still only person making yourself a victim is yourself, right? Nobody, the charts are not making you a victim. You're making yourself a victim, because again, you're the one that's fearing missing out. You're the one revenge trading, and you're the one that keeps falling for the bait. So I'm not victim blaming. You want to be I made a video saying everything that happens in the markets is your fault and to take accountability. And then you went into my comments to make excuses. So you came to my comments and made yourself a victim. You got victim on your forehead. I didn't make you a victim. You made yourself a victim. You're talking about how the markets just be taking your lunch money every day, right? Nobody made you a victim but yourself. I don't know why the fuck you brought up futures. But anyways, and he says it's best to put money through it. He says it's best to not put money into the market until you win continuously through practice, and it might take years to learn. What was the point of typing all of this under a post? Again, this is what I'm talking about. So this is what made me think that he doesn't even fucking trade, right? But anyways, I'm using this as a learning lesson, right? I actually agree with this last part. It is best not, and this is what I say all the time. It is best not to put money into the market until you win continuously through practice. And again, the only reason why it might take years to learn is because instead of learning from your mistakes, you want to type shit like this in the comments, right? The only people that take years to learn how to day trade are the ones that don't take it seriously, or the ones that continuously continue to make the same mistakes over and over and over and over and over again. And that switch does not click to stop making those mistakes, or they don't find that solution to the problem. Right? That's the only people, or they want to be victims, right? It's the only people, right? Because again, I went from spending not a full year, like maybe 8-9 months trying to learn from people that weren't trying to teach. I was bullshitting, just trial and error, taking trades. To again, after I blew that last account when I was doing the taxes, right? Like 2 months after that, I literally spent a month and a half studying, and then I figured out so much shit. And then after that, I spent the last half of the month coming up with a trading plan based on what I learned from the charts, and then I spent 3 months practicing on a demo account. And here we are now. So it did not take me years to learn. But again, that's because, again, I never was one of the types to blame the markets and all this other shit, right? I never believed in the stop loss hunting, the buyer seller thing. Like when I first heard it, when I was learning from somebody, I was like, okay, I was taking notes and shit. But then, because I know how the world works, I'm like, that doesn't make sense, right? Like that just doesn't make sense, right? So again, that's the main difference between us, the playmakers, and everybody else. Like I always say, when people talk about 90%, 99% failure rate, these are the 99% they're talking about. People that aren't even on the charts trading, right? That's the 99% they're talking about, all right? And that statistic's not even accurate, because for that statistic to be accurate, that means they would have to pull data from all the brokers all over the world in every country, and they would have to have interviewed all the people that have made money day trading. And I'll tell you one thing, ain't nobody hit me up for no interview. Ain't nobody hit none of my members students up for no damn interview in the past 3 years, 4 years. So I don't know where they're getting this statistic and update from, because I'm making money. The members of students are making money. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know where they're getting these numbers from. In fact, most of these fucking surveys that are out, only surveys I ever took was when I was on websites taking them surveys. I ain't never been hit up out the blue to take a survey. So most of these statistics ain't even that damn accurate if we're going to keep it. That's a whole nother conversation. So we got a GU that broke this level. Let's see if we can hold right here. Let's see if we can hold. Again, I don't really like when GU and gold are going against each other. But again, I'm just keeping it simple going with my market structure. I see buys on gold. I see sells on GU. So now I'm about to see if my confirmations are met or not. So I'm going to see how this closes out. We're going to be on for a little bit longer, y'all. Again, you guys got any questions, drop them in the chat. When looking at the charts, drop them in the chat. We're looking at possible gold or GU buys. Let's see if we can break back above this level. How this is looking right here. see if it moves. I see this holds right here. Again, y'all, the sell ends literally this week at the end of the month. The summer sale ends at the end of this month. Everything is 20% off. Yes, you heard that correctly. That's the Advanced Play Signal, yearly, monthly, and lifetime, as well as one-on-one sessions and Playmaker University. Just use discount code as my time at checkout before purchase. But again, we're going to look and see not only if we can break this level, but hold it as resistance. We got a new 15 about to pop up in a minute. Why don't I like to see it? Why don't I like to see it is because on average, they usually correlate with each other, GBP, USD, and gold. On average, they usually correlate with each other. But that doesn't mean they always do, right? As a perfect example, US30 NAS and SPX. Those are correlating charts. Those are correlating pairs. Usually if one goes up, they all go up, right? Usually if one goes down, they all go down, right? But when we look on the bigger picture, the market structure is different, right? So let's pull it up and talk about it. Excellent question. So let's pull that up, and hopefully we don't have a repeat of yesterday where I go into teacher mode and give you a good take off on me. But let's just talk about it, all right? Let's not trading NAS100. Let's do this. Let's do this. All right. All right. So when we look at US30 and we look at NAS100, when we look at price today, they're just similar moves. They're doing similar moves as we speak, right? But when we look at the market structure to see what they did last week or for the month, we see completely different market structure, right? But when we go into the smaller time frame and look at what price is doing right now, they're doing the same thing. But even when we go to Monday, US30 retraced on Monday, but NAS100, well, it looks like a retrace, but if we go to the smaller time frame, right? We go to Monday, price again, New York 930 open, pushed to the upside. We go to US30 on the smaller time frame. Monday, New York open, price went down, right? We see price went down, NAS100 went up, right? So again, what we see them doing right now is a similar move, but market structure is completely different, which is again why last month we was trading US30, and when NAS100 hit all-time highs, we stopped trading NAS100, right? And everybody was like, "What about NAS100? What about NAS100?" And I kept saying, "I'm not trading NAS100 because we're at all-time highs. That's why I switched to US30, right?" So again, when everybody was talking about, "Oh, NQ price action choppy," we was eating on US30, not dealing with all the choppiness that NQ was giving everybody, right? So again, this was July 31st. We go to July 31st right here. We have that retracement. This was August 4th, August 13th, right? We go to July, we go to 4th, we go to 13th. Look what happened on 13th. That big as rejection. We go to August 13th. We had a push. Not as big as a rejection, right? So again, I don't really like when the correlating pairs go against each other because then you have to like basically just pay attention to one chart, stick to it, which is why US30, when US30 hit all-time highs, I didn't look at US30 this week. I looked at NAS100, and I focused on the market structure on NAS100. Went for buys yesterday and Monday on NAS100. And again, when we look at Monday, US30. But before you do that, fuck. Okay, we're gonna wait for the retest. I should have saw that coming. We're gonna wait for the retest. Not tripping, it hasn't retested yet. So, anyways, where was it at? 9:30. Right, 9:30. Price went down. Right, but 9:30 on NAS100. Price went up. Right, and again, we went for buys on NAS because again, US30 hit all-time highs. So that's why we switched to NAS because NAS wasn't at the all-time highs yet, but we were still bullish. We went for buys. But imagine if we would have stuck to US30 and tried to go for buys on US30, we would have took a loss, right? Again, because of the market structure. But again, we see them doing the same thing as we speak right now in real time. So that's where I don't like to go. I don't like when they are not going against each other. But again, same thing with gold. We're going to naked chart on gold. Gold and a second. All right, GU's for tracing. All right, cool. So let's get rid of this. All right, so let's get rid of all this. So let's rewind, right? So let's go back. So this was August 1st. We had higher highs, right? And we caught that higher high. Right? We caught that higher high 2 weeks ago. If y'all was in live streams, you could have caught that with us. We go to August 1st. On gold, we had a push, we had a higher high, right? Then we had this reversal on Monday, August 11th. August 11th, we had a rejection as well. Again, it was red, just not as fast as a reversal. But then we see Tuesday, Wednesday, 13th, and 12th, we had a new higher high. We see here, 12th, 13th, we didn't have a higher high, but we had price push up, right? So then the 14th to 19th, that's when we had that lower low. All right, look what happened here. 14th to 19th, we had price reverse, right? Then Friday, when the news popped off, gold and GU did the same thing, right? But gold, like we talked about in TikTok Live, brought the uptrend back into play, which is why we went for buys yesterday and today. I mean, not yesterday and today, yesterday and Monday, right? But GU failed to put the bullish momentum back into play, and now we're seeing possible new lower low come into play, right? So both of these idea setups can be correct. I just personally don't like when they go against each other. But at the end of the day, that's why I just keep it simple and just go off market structure, right? So if my confirmations are met, I take the setup, right? That's why I just keep it simple, right? Because when you start overthinking it, that's when you start to overcomplicate and switch things up. But again, I know my trading plan works. I know the way I read the charts is accurate more than it's not. And I know that my winners are always going to cancel out my losers. So I'm always going to win at the end of the day anyways, right? But I do like gold more than G, mainly because gold already made a higher high yesterday, so it's continuing momentum. Also like this wick price pushing back up, trying to make a new push to the upside. So we're going to be seeing a gold can again hold 33. I'm going to take you off the screen. Again, if gold can hold 33.84 as support, we're going to look for guys going to 3400. Failed to do so last night, rejected. So we're looking to see if it can do that for us today. And we're going to be looking to see if price is going to be able to retest and maintain this low as resistance. And if we can hold 3440 as resistance, we're going to look for sales going to 3420. All right, so I'm out of the NAS100 setup. I'm pretty sure some members might be still in it. I'm gonna be looking for a new whoops, if I could type, that could help. I'm gonna be looking for a new setup and entry on NAS100. Again, it's been a slow week, but it's still been profitable one in a profitable month, which is why again, we just want to keep it simple. Again, we was in drawdown for a minute. We was ranging in and out of TP1, TP2 for a minute. But again, when that volume picked up, which direction to go? It went to the upside. Why is that? Because again, we're bullish, which is why you want to go with the floor price. Because again, if you go for strictly high probability, high quality setups, you automatically give yourself a higher likelihood of the trade going in your favor and going your way. So in a perfect world, we'll see gold break this level, and then we'll see GU retest. That way, the next 15, we can look and determine if we're going to be going for a buy or sell. So let's see if the markets are going to do that for us. We're going to be on for a little bit longer, y'all. If you guys got any questions, drop them in the chat. When we need charts, drop them in the chat. Got a new 15 about to pop up in a little bit. Now let's see what this next 15 looks like. You guys got any questions? Drop them in the chat. When looking at charts, drop them in the chat. What's going on, WJSC up in here? Yeah, I'm liking G, not gonna lie. Look at that thing go. Again, the difference between this candlestick, and this candlestick is that price broke but did not close or hold the level as resistance. The difference between this move here and what price is doing here is price closed underneath this level. It did a slight retest. It didn't do the retest I'm looking for. I want to see price come up a little bit more and retest like it did here. It's still pushing. All right, Joe. So let's recap on what we're looking for today. Again, it's going to be a little bit of a slower week. It's probably going to be a slow day again today. We don't have any news today. We do got news tomorrow on Friday, though. So again, we're just simply waiting for volume to kick in and the confirmation to be met. So if you don't see any action between now and 6 a.m., I recommend just waiting for the open. The NAS100, we got a nice move here. So we're either going to we're going to be looking for buys still. So we're going to be looking to see if the price can break above gold 23,590 as support. If price can do that, we're going to look for buys going to 23,660. Looking at gold, we're going to look for possible gold buys. If we can break above and hold 33.84 as support, we're going to look for buys going to 4,400. Then let's pull up GBPJPY. GJ, still in no man's land. We're still technically bullish, but as you can see, we've just been struggling to break above, which is why I'm waiting to see the price go over 199.15 as support. If price can do that, I'm looking for buys going to 199.70, or if price breaks below and holds 197.85 as resistance, and 197.90 as resistance, I should say, we're going to do it for sales going at 197.40. And then with GU, it's already doing the move, but if we can hold 34.40 as resistance, we're looking for sales going down to 34.20. All right, y'all. Again, make sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok. You'll see that scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Make sure to take advantage of the summer sale ends at the end of the month. Shout out to everybody that's been alive. Shout out to everybody that's been alive since the beginning. Shout out to everybody that's been alive since y'all joined. Make sure to hit that first link in the description. Join the free signal, free Telegram. And yeah, we'll be back at the same time tomorrow. Running session 3 on EST.